Welcome to Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet. Join Janet and her friends as they gather at the intersection of consciousness and self-experience, what being consciousness in human form is all about. Access heart-centered awareness with them and feel the difference in the moment that will last a lifetime.
Hello, and welcome to Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet. I am Janet Barrett. Thank you for joining me as we will infuse together to open up the stuck, the compromise, the smallness that we have come to think life is all about. As we explore the diversity of life that is in form or out of form, it is all registering energetically. In this field of potential, the field of unified consciousness, heart-centered awareness, we slip the bonds of our humanity and form and embrace our truth as the collective known as consciousness. Let's start right off by noticing our breath together. Sit and relax, or if you are up and doing something while listening, shift your focus for a bit from outward to inward. Then notice your breath, notice your heartbeat. And now sync up your breath and heartbeat together. You will notice the world sort of fades and softens, not because you are not paying attention, but because you are listening within your heart and not your mind. Mind is usually very busy, directing your everyday engagements. Notice what happens when you allow yourself to embrace being present in the moment. Using heart shifts how you engage your daily life. You experience the world in a more expansive state, while at the same time you are present in it. Just notice now the rhythm of your breathing and your heartbeat, and allowing your senses to go global. Today my guest is Pamela Aloia, and she's going to share with us about holding ourselves together energetically. We are spiritual creatures of potential and energy, interacting in worlds of potential and energies. What are the elements to enjoying ourselves in being in body form in this dynamic cosmic soup? Pamela is the author of the Daily Cloak, a spiritual guide to energetic clearing and protecting. As an energy healer, teacher, and author, she has focused the last 20 years on individual and collective energy healing. Feel with us as we construct a solid foundation on which to build and enhance your daily energetic practices and awareness. Your sense of Pamela Aloia is of lightness. She knows how to interact in diffusing energetic patterns, which is the theme of her new book, The Daily Cloak, a spiritual guide to energetic clearing and protecting. It is a primer to how to be in energy fields of all kinds and how to strengthen one's own field awareness. She is attuned in a variety of energetic healing techniques, has experience in hospice and bereavement as a certified grief coach, is a lifelong martial arts practitioner, and a 25-year veteran in the corporate world. With this diverse background, Pamela combines practical and heartfelt aspects to provide awareness, vision, and support for others to live soul-filled lives. As an energy healer, teacher, and author, she has focused the last 20 years on individual and collective energy healing. In 2003, she started Soul Angel, an energy center, and continues to provide insight and instruction for people to expand their consciousness, encourage and support self-discovery, and create enhanced life experiences. Pamela has written numerous articles in health and wellness, both online and in print, and in the books 52 Pick Me Up, Rescuer Mindset, and Nurturing Healthy Change, which are all available at Amazon along with this new book, The Daily Cloak. She guides people to understand themselves so balanced decisions can be made and living in alignment internally and externally is possible and achievable. Her website is www.PamelaAloia.com. Her email, connect@PamelaAloia.com, and Facebook is at facebook.com Pamela Aloia Author. All the correct spellings are available at our podcast website page. Our language this time is of energetic hygiene, being accountable for our energetic well-being, consciously choosing the energy we want to reside in. It is the clearing of space internally and externally. It is about diffusing the energy present in any one moment. Thank you, Pamela, for joining me today. Thank you. It's lovely.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, good. Now let me pronounce it, Pamela Aloia, and you are an energy healer and teacher based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so everyone, I want you to join in here, and let's connect to me here in Portland, Oregon, Pamela all the way across the United States on the East Coast, and there's Boyd, our sound engineer in Kansas. So we have a great line of connection here and energy to dance with today. And we're going to be talking about holding ourselves together energetically, because one thing that we're all very aware of right now is that it's kind of dicey out in the world. And so Pamela's going to share with us from her new book, The Daily Cloak, and she'll explain that terminology and what it has, how to be better armed, not armed, because I don't do military stuff, how to be better integrated in being energy that's experiencing other energies. Does that sound about right, Pamela?
Yeah. The word that comes up is alignment, to be in alignment with ourselves. Yeah.
There you are. Yes, alignment. That's a great word. So everyone, we're going to have fun. We'll see where we go this afternoon with this. And I just want you to breathe. Go ahead and just notice you have a breath. There you go. And then notice you have a heartbeat. And allow them to be in sync, remembering that it's not any special breath, it's just your breath. We just want to be present, because one thing we're going to notice here with Pamela is that we're going to go adventuring in the world, and we want to be in our alignment and our integrity with how we interact with whatever's showing up, the information that'll be present. So just notice the two, the heartbeat, the physicalness, and the breath, which is our awareness of being and what it's like for them. There we go. Oh, that feels nice, everyone. What are you noticing right in this moment, Pamela?
Well, I love this because I do something like this before I work with individuals too, is making sure we're in the present moment. So as you were talking, I could feel myself bringing energy from the past to the present, from the future to the present, just bring everything collectively into me. So I am being more aware of my breath too, and I don't usually take a check-in on my heartbeat, so I'm feeling that. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, and kind of when you say to bring them both into resonance with each other, I can't remember the words you used, but
in sync.
Yeah, in sync. That's it. Yeah, that's a lovely thought. Yeah.
Well, that's great. So what'll be interesting this episode is that you, the listener, and us, the guest and host, and those are just titles, so they're not really important. They're just placeholders and information. We're going to be using a lot of cross language, probably. My background being metaphysical, but also consciousness educating, and into what consciousness technologies. And Pamela, we have people that I'm sure listener-wise that meditate. They're into Buddhism. They're into. Isn't that interesting? Hold on just a minute, everyone. That's something. I think we're either getting very expansive, Pamela. Hold on to your seats, boys and girls. Okay. Because we do have such a diverse background of ways of noticing information. I think that's what I want to say. So we're going to have lots of different kinds of language, too, that's going to show up. So we're just going to notice how it all weaves together. And tell us about why you call it the cloak. That's what strikes me. That may be not a familiar term for some of the audience.
Yeah, the Daily Cloak, it's interesting because I had gone through different titles for this book, and none of the ones that were on my initial list made it. I was sitting there talking with my husband, and he mentioned the cloak, and I said, that's it. It's the Daily Cloak. So it was, it kind of just happened as we had been mulling it over for, I guess, a few days. But I love the symbolism of the cloak. I feel that I'm very close to Kuan Yin, and Kuan Yin has been helping me for the past many, many years with protection and inner transformation in general. So I feel she has had some input into this title as well. Because there is a lot of symbolism with the cloak. The cloak has a spiritual representation to it, where we are able to create a safe space for our own inner transformation. And then, of course, the cloak, especially in olden times, and even now, you wear a cloak to protect yourself when you're traveling. So the cloak is also for protection while we're doing our inner transformation. So that's the symbolism.
Well, what I enjoyed about your book is my consideration. It struck me like as a primer for interacting on the different energetic levels we have in our world, and how to hold awareness of where we fit in with all of it. And I think for anyone, depending upon your background, and that's why I mentioned it, you do a lovely job of presenting how consciousness is in everything, and I'm going to use the word consciousness, is in everything, and that you can access that, and you incorporate, you use the term energetic hygiene, which I just loved. I thought that was great. And in how we are in the world and how we present ourselves, and in self-care, and how when you live in these rule sets that you are energetic beings, that there are some disciplines and basic things to take care of to help you be out in the world and enjoy yourself. And then there's the accountability that you offer us about being energetic, and we get to choose what we do with it. So I think these are all real important considerations.
Yeah, definitely. I do. The one that hits me the most is when we talk about the accountability piece of it. And I think that ordinarily, under normal circumstances, energetic awareness, energetic clearing and protecting is something we should be doing all the time. Obviously, with things going on this year, the importance of being energetically accountable for ourselves, I think, is paramount, because we're going out into the world, we're interacting with the world that is extremely diverse in their stances and their emotional feedback. So I find if we are able to sit within ourselves and determine where our truth lies, and then determine how we want to, if at all, integrate that with our external world. We don't need to instigate any conversations if we don't want to. We can have our truth and sit back. But if we are going to bring it out, how are we going to be responsible in doing so? How are we going to try to remain neutral in that space so that we can all grow and learn together?
Well, I think you're doing a bringing the awareness that it's not just enough to be present, it's how you're present.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in taking responsibility for adding to an issue or going to that neutral place, like you mentioned, which I'm always in favor of, in not adding to the dilemma and blowing it up, because you
Mm-hmm.
can see where that's a very powerful way for people to interact with each other, and that we're not really helping because we're all actively creating transformational reality in every moment, and
Mm-hmm.
in our morphic resonance that we share with the other humans on this planet, we're all creating reality. So you can totally affect what's happening around you by the position that you hold.
Absolutely, and I think it's also being it's not only being aware of what you're holding in a situation, is also, I find it's helpful to kind of check in with ourselves, very similar to what you did in the beginning of this
Mm-hmm.
conversation, to check in before we even go somewhere. What are we feeling in this moment, and
Mm-hmm.
what can we shift before we get to where we're going, or to get even.
Right.
So I think that's really important. A lot of times, especially before all the COVID hit and lots of people were sitting at home, we would bounce from one place to another and not really detach ourselves from one activity or to the next. So we're constantly accumulating all this energy from the day. Whereas now I think we're having a little bit more time, depending on the days. I know sometimes it's not completely true. Just because we don't have somewhere to go doesn't mean we
Yeah.
don't have a planned day. But
Yeah.
trying to take the time, even if it's 30 seconds, to say, okay, what am I feeling right now? What can I get rid of? What can I clear? And how best can I protect myself for my next meeting, my next whatever that I'm going to?
Okay, so everyone, let's take a moment. She's brought up some great points here, and just check in. Just notice this whole episode is about noticing how you're interacting with yourself and the energies around you. So, we're in total control. We make the choices. So, in noticing your emotional resonances and then letting those just be momentary, they don't have to be the defining of you. Just notice that you have a feeling, and what would you like to do with it? So we give ourselves back to being present that way. So just notice if you have a habit of starting out the day between brushing your teeth and sitting on the toilet and checking in and seeing what your mindset is and what you set yourself up for. And what it'd be like to just bring more awareness. And what if you choose it to be a good day? So just notice that. Because one thing you get into that I like, Pamela, is really a lot about interacting with space and being present, and to notice, well, how is this a helpful place for me, right? And reorganizing yourself that way,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe what you're perceiving of the energies that are present in any one location, and going, okay, I'm okay. What if the rest of this reflected it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that's really, and it's really important to do. I think the easiest space to do that, if we haven't started doing something like that on a regular basis, is to start at home. How do you
Mm-hmm.
feel in each room of your home?
Mm-hmm.
Is there
Mm-hmm.
something that you can shift? Are there certain colors that you can add accents to? Is there too much clutter? Can the furniture be rearranged? What would be the best for you and your family, depending on who you're living with, for the energy of each space? And
You might have to put them in a bubble.
well, and that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
So when
Right.
we get out of bed, like you were saying, instead of just brushing your teeth, going from one thing to the next,
Right.
think about what kind of a day you want. And a lot of times, yes, I do want to raise something here, because our home is our safe haven. It is, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where we can kind
Hopefully.
of, yeah, hopefully, you're
Hopefully,
right.
see, that's what you're
Hopefully,
doing. That's you're checking to make sure that it is a safe haven, because it might
absolutely.
not be at
That
times.
is very true. And even if you are feeling comfortable and safe in your home there, and you are sharing your space with other people, it is still a good practice to put up some protection from their energies. And it's not because they're having negative energies or bad energies, but they could be. They could be. But it's more to maintain everybody's own space, so it's helping us keep our energy sovereign, everybody else's space sovereign, by keeping us in our own little bubbles of light and clearing ourselves so that we're not infringing upon other people's energetic space. So even if we are, I just want to highlight that even if we are home and living with other people, we still want to employ these practices. It's important.
Well, it's because we're each unique, right? We each are in our stuff, and we share our stories. We share this energy. We share potential. We share consciousness. We share it's an array. Everything is shared. And to think that you're not, and see, this is the problem that we've come up with and developed stronger, is that we're isolated and that we're separate. And, there's the them, and then there's the us, and, fear and all these kind of other agendas have shown up so strongly, things that we need to work out. And you just do it because in being you is a point of reference for everyone in your world, and how you show up and how you live your life is interacting with them in some way. Now, we don't have any control over how someone else experiences us. We just have our own reference, our own story. And when we are clear, it makes it so much easier for other people, positive and negative, right, to notice their own story and what they're noticing about their own energy patterns and stuff.
Right. And they also may not like what they see too.
Exactly.
And that's okay. We need to allow them to experience that and deal with that as they will. Like you said, we're not necessarily responsible for that, but knowing that how we shift can shift people positively, and it can make people very uncomfortable at the same time.
Totally. So now, to get into the nuts and bolts of your of the book and all the different things that areas that we can look at energy and how we interact with it, tell me a little bit about how you got into this. What you've been doing this for 20 years, but what was it before? What put you into this journey?
Like so many other people I've met along the way, I was having physical issues that Western medicine wasn't necessarily giving me much relief for.
Oh, yeah, ding that one.
That story, right? So that's my story. So I realized that I was missing out on, I wasn't living, I was missing out on things. I was missing out on my kids' events, family events. I had stopped doing some athletic work that I was into because I was not able to do things anymore. I'd pushed myself, I think, even though I didn't think I was, until I started feeling really badly. And I realized there was more to medicine than what Western medicine had to provide. While I think that what we provide on a Western level is great, I think what we're starting to do better now is integrating the full body experience in that healing. So we're including not only the physical aspects and the physical symptoms, but also paying attention to our emotional health, our mental health, and our spiritual health, and how they all intertwine. And that's where I believe energy work came in for me. Energy work helped open up my awareness to what I had been pushing down or neglecting from an emotional standpoint, mental constructs that I kind of created for myself to fit into whatever construct or what I thought was the best person I could be, and realizing that my truth needed to shift a bit as I opened up to understanding myself better. And with that, I was able to release about 75% of my physical issues simply by working with energy work, doing meditation, and cutting back on the hours that I was working, for sure, decreasing some stress.
Yeah.
And things just sort of flowed. From there, I jumped into energy work. I said, oh my gosh, if I can have this much of, if energy work can have this much of an impact on me, I need to learn as much as I possibly can about it and tell so many people about it, because there's lots of people having physical issues and not completely aware of their options. Of course, that's shifting over the past
Uh-huh.
20 years, which is fabulous.
Uh-huh. Well, I know you're a certified grief coach,
hmm
and did that have it all play into this? Your awareness of, people in different states of being and
so yes, it did. I have been enamored with, I don't say enamored with, but yeah, I've been interested in the process of dying and what it is like, I guess, from a little girl. I
mm.
had my next door neighbor when I was 6 years old died, and he was 5. Or maybe I was 7, he
Oh,
was 6. Doesn't matter. Regardless, I
uh-huh.
was, that really had an imprint on me for the rest of my life, for sure, and how I faced death and how I looked at it. And growing up, we really didn't talk about it. It wasn't something we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, most of my upbringing was not really facing our emotions too much. It was kind of pushing them down, right?
Yeah.
So,
The
so
other way. Yeah, right.
right, right. So when I started on the energy work piece, I realized that volunteering for hospice would be a wonderful thing to do. So I did that for a few years because they were offering Reiki to hospice patients, which was also a
Ah.
wonderful thing. And I was very excited about that.
Uh-huh.
And I was working at 2 different hospices, and one of them was offering the coaching program. I thought, this is going to be wonderful. And it is truly amazing how heartful some folks can be during the grief process. The folks who are passing, as well as the folks who are left behind, there is so much there for us to talk about. There is so much for us to sit and experience without words, simply by being there for each other. I found that time to be one of the most heartful times of my life because people were able to open up. Now, obviously, not everybody is. Grief affects everybody very
Mm-hmm.
uniquely.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of folks do take the time and the opportunity to open up because there is no other time left. And I found that people were less calculated. They let
Mm-hmm.
their walls down, and you're able to
Mm-hmm.
really connect with people
Mm-hmm.
on both sides, but those passing and those taking care of those who are passing. Truly beautiful experience.
So let's take a moment, everyone, and acknowledge death, right? And we've done that with Hollister Rand, our guest, for a couple of episodes, and that is just a transition place, and your loved ones are still around you if you choose to engage with them, or if they choose to engage with you, and just notice what it'd be like to be at peace and be either that dying or the one who's being left behind. And what if it was all that it could be? And just notice that for yourselves. Most all of us have known someone who's, or third person, known someone who's passed. And what it's like to just be present, which is what Pamela is so lovely describing, is that it's not always what is said, it's what is acknowledged. And those can be two different things. And it's lovely when acknowledgement can be spoken. And sometimes that's not what's important. So we'll notice that because that's very much about energy clearing and noticing yourself in the process of living. Now, you also are a longtime martial arts practitioner. So
Yes,
how
yeah.
does that come into this? How does that make you you?
I started martial arts when I was very young, 6 years old.
Mm.
And
Around your friend's death?
I don't remember putting the 2 and 2 together. I remember being too young to join because the rest of my family was. I'm the youngest of 3. So my dad and my siblings were working or were able to take classes and I wasn't, and I just wanted to know when I could join. So I did that for many years. I stopped, I guess, when I was in high school, and then picked it back up again. Always had, dabbled in it here and there, but not very seriously where I was advancing rank. And then picked it up again after college, and still to date. I've learned many different martial arts, and I love the fact that early on, the martial arts, I feel, were a great confidence builder because it's you. It's not a team sport, and I've done team sports too. I love them both. They both have wonderful aspects and build characteristics within people that I feel are wonderful, wonderful tools to use when you go out into the real world. Mm-hmm. I feel that martial arts is great provided you have a good community and a very good instructor. That person or people can instill community, they can instill discipline, pushing yourself, challenging yourself, but not hurting yourself in the meantime, really setting limitations, setting boundaries. So I focused on Taekwondo when I was growing up, and then I moved to a lot of different arts: Kempo, Arnis, Judo, Aikido. I'm sure I'm missing something. Did a little jujitsu here and there.
Well, okay.
Once I got older, I got more, I guess, and my husband really did. He's really the one who kind of not pushed it, but led it. He's very, very good at it. He's able to pull it all together very nicely. Mm-hmm. One of the arts that really took us and more me, because, well, actually both of us, is Aikido. Aikido is called the art of peace. And I love that. After learning so many different martial arts where you can hurt and, potentially kill people, that is definitely not who I am. I remember growing up and having to spar and fight other people for points. And I never felt comfortable with that. That was not my forte. So when we found this art of peace, it's really wonderful because the way I see it, and this is where I almost got, I see the correlation between energy. We talk about how everything is energy. Mm-hmm. In Aikido, now there is an attacker and a receiver. And the whole idea of Aikido is to diffuse the situation. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say, we used to say to use a person's energy against them, which you can do, but you really are diffusing the situation without either person getting hurt. And I love that. Mm-hmm. And I love that you can receive energy and you can diffuse a situation. You can take this ideal and bring it into any aspect of your life. So if somebody is hollering at you or being angry, we go back to that neutrality piece. We're not going to accept that. Say that energy is coming at us with, 80 miles per hour. We're not going to go at it with 80 miles per hour. We're going to soften it. We're going to meet it at maybe 20%, soften it a little bit, and then redivert it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I love that piece and how Aikido can be used as a self-improvement tool and to be used for conflict resolution. There's so many avenues. Martial arts has wonderful philosophies to it, and if you live it like a Buddha as a way of life, it can truly shift your life, and I think it matches really well with energy work and consciousness, as we've been talking so far.
Totally. I mean, I'm enjoying how everything flavors everything else, right? Mm-hmm. And when you become aware of principles, foundation principles of how energy works and how potential works and how it all is in a bigger picture, it just kind of undoes itself. It's the diffusion that you're talking about. It just takes all the rigidity out of something and goes, oh, and it's like a breath. Mm-hmm. It's an opening that happens. And so you've got this kind of background and these appreciations, and then you're into angels and crystal healing.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, of course, right? Of course.
Good for you. Okay. So everyone, I want you to notice how you can just expand. So maybe you have trainings in martial arts. Maybe you don't, but a lot of you do, I know. And just appreciating being open. Just feel that openness that Pamela embodies. All right. She's allowing information to be present around her. And if it feels like it has an agenda to it, where it has more energy than something else, she's in the awareness that she can interact with it before it ever gets to her, and it takes it down. And what would it be like if you had that awareness in your life? And think of the energies around you, and that in just being present, you can borrow access from Pamela and her lovely sense here, that you have the ability to take it down. Because often we get caught up in victim behavior and thinking, and something's happening to us and we're powerless. And that's one mindset. What we're doing, we're coming at it from a different mindset. We're not into that. We're into, I am self-reliant. I am in my integrity in my interactions as an energetic being, and being able to interface with other information. There we go. There we go, everyone. That's a nice shift. And Pamela's got more than that to offer, but we'll start with that. And just, what are you noticing right in this moment, Pamela?
Just an expansion and a piece to it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's very lovely. Very lovely. Okay, so tell us about the crystals and the angels. How's that fit into this?
The angels were I guess a stepping stone for me. I've always been drawn to angels. I've actually more been drawn to Mother Mary. I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Mm-hmm. And when I started my energy work, I found that I needed to take a step away from the church as well. There were things in the prayers and the practice and in myself where I realized I was becoming more aware of some of the things I may have been kind of pushing down before when I was feeling emotionally and mentally while I was practicing the Catholic rituals, that I needed some space. So as I was redefining, I feel I took a lot of time, and I still am redefining, I suppose, redefining my relationship with God/goddess. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I felt that the angels were a great connector for me while I determined how I wanted to perceive and interact and change my relationship with what I perceived as God, goddess previously. Mm-hmm. Angels are just a wonderful, wonderful energy. And in 2003, I opened up my energy center called Soul Angel. And that's sun angel in Spanish. But it also has a play on words for soul, for S-O-U-L, because really, I feel like we're opening doorways to our soul when we're doing energy work. And then it's also S-O-L-E. While we are working together with people, we are solely responsible for our own movement, our own improvements, and our own, destiny. Mm-hmm. So angels have been a part of my life consciously since I opened up the Soul Angel, and I use them. I don't want to say use them. I talk to them. That's so. I know, that's not nice. I work with them consistently every day. I
utilize.
Yes, we collaborate with creating workshops together.
You collaborate. I love that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, creating energy, clearing things, whatever it is that we need, asking for information, asking for clarity, helping someone out, whatever it is. I've been doing some workshops recently where it's meditating. It's talking specifically about one angel, and then doing a meditation with that angel specifically based on what they're known for, and then how that angel shows up for each individual in the meditation in the workshop. Mm-hmm. Truly enlightening experiences. I'm sure lots of people have angel cards and do meditations with angels, so I'm sure a lot of you listening already have had these experiences and are working and collaborating with them on a daily basis too. I feel that the more we do this, the more we're raising not only our vibration, but the vibration of the planet too. Everything we do energy-wise that uplifts us, obviously, uplifts everyone else too.
Well, sweetie, you've brought to mind the reality in this context for us is that angels are something we collaborate with, and if we are of the viewpoint, the awareness that they're life forms without the form, without the life, I guess, and that they're just information, and that's my terminology for things, is they're information signatures that because I think every story I've ever heard about angels is they want to help you kind of thing, is that they're looking for ways to interact. And so if we just take that approach with it, it's much more user friendly, and it's not that you have to believe in anything. You just have to allow for information to be in different forms that you can interact with. And what is it you would like to be involved with? And that there's certainly an array of the way we notice the form, we call it this Raphael or Metatron or whatever, we have our organized principles and all that kind of stuff. But there's also, in your pet, I mean, it's going to show up. That kind of information can show up in many different ways. And so in being open to the idea that you can interact with anything and go, oh, okay, there's something there that I can be involved in that might be useful. So, and do you carry that over then into crystals and noticing vibrations that way, or is that just something else?
Yeah, the crystals are in every room of my home, many of them, and I carry them with me. I feel that, like you said, we can interact with anything and everything that has a consciousness to it. So the crystals, I feel, are just like you said, information, a way to interact and ask and collaborate and see what we can do for them as much as what they can do for us. It's really interesting if you take a few moments to really listen to what we can do for a crystal as opposed to always asking something of the crystal. We tend to kind of have an off-balance relationship with them. But the same goes through, I'm kind of taking this a step further. Crystals, I believe, are wonderful, wonderful tools for us. I believe communing with nature, talking with trees, talking with plants, talking with your pets, feeling and getting to know and be familiar with the energetic signature of each of those individually to get a full connection is not something we all want to take the time to do, but when we do, I feel that we open up our minds and our hearts to a whole nother realm. And I love that you say it is just information, because then I don't say just, but it's information, and then we can decide what to do with it. We don't, and when you say information, the way I'm receiving it is that it is neutral. We haven't judged the information one way or the other. So in not judging it, we're able to decide if it's something we want to accept, we want to just leave where it is, or we want to, mesh with it further and develop it. So I love that term and how you're phrasing it, because that's exactly, I totally agree.
It's the way the energy works without a label, the judgment on it. You take the judgment off it because that's what it's all about. Right. So, but what I heard from you was a real interesting awareness. Thank you very much. Is that the stone may want something from you. We're so egocentric. We're so arrogant that everything is about us. And then you go, well, my stone wants something from me? Because the truth is, when we're always doing that, well, go with whatever you're attracted to. Attraction works both ways. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone go, oh, that rock is calling to me because it needs me. I'll hear the rocks calling to me because I'm calling to it more. So thank you for that.
Sure.
That's a great play. So we have, and then there's past lives. You mentioned that in the book. How does that play into this? Did you have your own experiences, or where did this awareness come from?
interesting because I was not, past life is not something I've really been interested in or thought about much of my life. In fact, I remember having one client for about 3 years tell me, you'd be great in this work. You should really learn past life regression. It just sounds like right up your alley. And I'm thinking, no, not really. And then I was trolling online somewhere and I saw a workshop nearby for it. And I couldn't troll past it. I've read everything about it, and I said, I think I need to take this class. So I called the woman, Carol Bowman. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She wrote the book Children in Past Lives, I think it is. She was one who had, when she started doing past life regression, not a lot of work had been done with children, but her children had been having spontaneous past lives. So she got into this without having, doctorate credentials at the time. And I think it was tough for her to get in, into the fold. But she had so much wonderful experience with children. So anyway, she was the one who was hosting and facilitating the class. So I called her up and asked if I could attend. So she's asking a whole bunch about my background, why I want to do it, all these questions. And it was fine for me because I wasn't sure why I was so drawn to it. But by the end of our conversation, she said, yes, I think you would be fine in this class because past life regression isn't for everyone. You can get really deep. And apparently she was mentioning she had some experiences with people once they had one. They said, yeah, I don't think I can do this. So she did a really good job at talking with people to make sure that they were ready for the experience of not only having a past life regression, but also supporting others in that type of work. And it has been just knowing that we're all connected, knowing that we all have had many past lives here. It's opened up another avenue of my own understanding about myself and humanity.
Well, see, this is about appreciating what life is. There's there's being alive, and then there's the dead, right? And it's all about life and all the rock, the angel forms, all of this is life, some element of life, and it's in some state. And so a crystal, we're all full of crystals. We're all full of metals and minerals and stuff like that. So there it is. It's in a certain resonance, and it's held a certain way, and it connects to us, right? And then we can interact with information. And there is no beginning or end. It's a Mobius strip, and you're either alive or dead. You go through birth or death, and we're always playing back and forth between these realities. And sometimes we're going to hold awareness of the past, and we're going to hold awareness of the future and not really know that we are, right? Because we're just in our experience of being. So you've opened up different ways of noticing information, and I'm going to call it that, and how you want to be energetically in a sense of integrity. Now, because you use the word protection, which I don't use often, because that's a mindset to me. That's more self. There's something you have to guard your self against. And as spirit, as being, core essence, mine doesn't really... Mine invites all kinds of experiences. I'm not too judgmental about them. And that takes me places. A lot of places I'd rather not go, but it takes me places because it's information, So in organizing what your sense of self is in the world and how to be empowered in being you, I think the book does a great job of exploring all these different areas that may not register over here, but this will register big over here. And that's really what you're inviting people, is to look at life, open up your mind to different areas of where information can be that you can relate to, because that's what you've done your whole life, is that something happened, it caught your interest, you pursued it, and it took you someplace. And it all comes together in who you are right now in this moment, right? And that's been and it's lovely that you can share that with us. Pamela, we've been talking about lots of different areas to be noticing. And one thing that comes to mind is about intuition. What's your experience with that, would you say?
It ties very well into everything that we've been talking about. As we open ourselves up to the awareness of different ways and places that we can receive information, our sensitivity increases. And that sensitivity, I believe, is our intuition.
Okay.
The more we carry on with energetic awareness and being aware of where we are, it helps us become more sensitive to different ways or different things that we can respond to or not, right? In terms of the information that we're receiving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm going to use terminology like being present and and in that experience, like in this moment, that information is available. And once you get self put over there, and your judgments and your biases and your dialogues and your stories and all that, put that over there, then you're just free to notice and be open to having your experience. And then you're not in an agenda, because what you're talking about, what you've mentioned, is the neutrality. And you can only be neutral when you don't have an agenda present. And so that is self that's operating that day to day. And as we feel this veil, like you mentioned in describing, okay, notice your breath. It's not any special breath, just notice your breath. Oh, and then notice your heartbeat. Oh, okay. So the breath is really the present of the core essence of all. And as it aligns with the physical heartbeat that is you, and you realize that they infuse each other back and forth, and that diffusion is an infusion at the same time, right? Yeah, everything is breaking apart and just, then you're only just present. And what happens in that neutral state, and certainly with your book, you're sharing with us as a primer. I really like that idea, because you've got a lot of considerations going on about how to be and be present, and how to be in the informational soup, and what do you do with it. And when you're in integrity, it can have a sense of protection at times. It can have a sense of defensiveness. It can have a sense of offensiveness, because those are present vibrations that you can pick up. And so depending upon where you are in interfacing with life, that'll come up, right? But in just allowing oneself to be, everyone just notice that. This has been a delightful time with Pamela. And notice how deep, how free that the state is feeling for you. That emotions have been present and they've been noticed, but they're really, okay, let me be different with that maybe. Let me be more aware. And anything final words you might have, Pamela, to share that you might want to make sure we cover?
More centering on everything you just said. I love the being present, because that's really what it is. Being aware of what you're experiencing, how you can shift it, and in doing so, we can lead ourselves to a more pleasant existence. Even in any needed existence,
I love that. A more pleasant existence. And isn't it sad that the simplest things, they're so precious, and you go, oh yeah, there's that. Okay, because we do get lost, don't we?
We do. And not to say that there aren't people out there that are very pleasant all the time. That's fine. But many of us as a consciousness, mass consciousness, feels struggling, although I feel that is shifting as well. But the more we do for ourselves, the more we affect others, because we are connected, we are unified with and by our energy.
Well, and I think what you mentioned, and just bringing such a strong focus to awareness, is that there's a lot of discontent out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean you have to be discontented.
Exactly.
That means in the spectrum, you have tools if you allow yourself to recognize that you have tools. And just because someone else is unhappy does not mean you have to be unhappy. And there's really nothing gained by you being unhappy. You know, we want to think that's supportive, but it's really not. Mm-hmm. And it's our sharing, and it's our compassion, and it's our empathy and our sympathy. And we really have to appreciate that that's what makes the world go round. The mm-hmm. physical realm is of contrast, and what do you want to do with it? And so, thank you, Pamela. This has been delightful.
Thank you very much.
I so appreciate your wisdom and your willingness to live. Right? You have a willingness to participate, sweetie, and and what shows up, right?
That is true. That is true. You just got to roll with the punches.
You roll with the punches. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Pamela.
Thank you.
Pamela's influences are of family and nature. There was her father, an engineer by trade, who taught her self-discipline and to question everything, and introduced Pamela to the martial arts. There's her husband, Aloia, who believes in and supports her dreams, shares in and excels at the martial arts and pulling together their philosophies and living them. And then there's the goddess Kuan Yin, instrumental in guiding her path. Two places in our physical world are the Grand Canyon, a truly spiritual place, Crater Lake, a marvel of its own with beauty within and around. Definitely a lot of peace. And in general, being in nature which acts as healer, teacher, and friend. And always, it's about engaging life for her. Every moment is an opportunity to listen, to evolve, to be, to receive information, to learn and grow. Here's a great quote from Pamela. When we stop our minds from thinking, our hearts open to feeling. And this quote, true victory is self-victory. Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of the martial art Aikido. You will find my following blog, Experiencing Energy, available to read on my blog page at www.janetandbeyond.com. One of the most delightful experiences of the body form is to experience one's senses, to feel, hear, see, touch, smell, and to know things. The fun comes in when you can feel, sense, hear, touch, smell, and know things that have some sort of an energy signature of awareness and not so much necessarily solid in form, like ghosts or angels or fairies or garden divas. Maybe you are like me and have been aware of different energies since an early age. My friends and I can see much with our inner eye. Dead people, for instance. Or maybe you have a history of feeling energies that were identifiable in some way, but you could not see them. You could feel them, maybe either or both physically and emotionally. I have symbols that show up in different ways to my inner eye. You might have a sense of deja vu often, or knowing before the phone rings, that sort of thing. It is entertaining in my realm, and something that I can look forward to. All of it at times was thrilling or maybe alarming, depending upon who I was at the time and the situation. It was just a thing that was a part of me, usually unexpected, but I was open to it all. I have had many different experiences over the years, including channeling to running healing energy through my hands. My experiences were most often in a reality of being helpful, user-friendly, and not about the battle of good and evil that it can be for many. I was not alarmed and judging what I was witnessing as bad. There was no horror or fear, only grace at times and neutral the rest. But dealing with people's projections takes stamina and centeredness and neutral terrain within. Of course, when I was young, I was not always clear or understanding about boundaries and how energy works. I just used it. I got into metaphysical studies in my early 20s when I realized it was a part of my life. I wondered how someone could feel bad or unsettling in some way to me, and I felt bad. I had felt attacked, and then at times used. And along the way I was perhaps clumsy with others and their feelings, I am sure. With hindsight, we are all sensory creatures with bandwidths of sensation that extend beyond our human limits into our metaphysical range. Being energetically sensitive is easier when you learn how one's own nature and develop energy hygiene. When you are wanting to help another, understanding energy and potential dynamics is essential to successful work. There needs to be respect for how you are both organized within. You can realize that energy can take any form and, like a blade, be two-sided and due to the bias of observation, positive or negative, when in itself it is neither, just a manifestation of projection. We all experience energy differently and unique to the individual, so there are guidelines to consider and frameworks to embody that make life as an energetic being delightful and rewarding. All too often, people can feel overwhelmed or done in by the energies around them and in them. And most of the time, people are not in conscious awareness of the energies around them that are affecting them in some way, positive and negative, unless it is brought to their attention. All information, life, stuff, fits within the core of consciousness, so it can be interacted with. It doesn't matter if it is in the past, the future, the cosmos, your neighbor. Energetic dynamics abound. It just depends on your internal settings of sensitivity, tolerance, and storyline, which determines your reality settings and what you consider real and not real, possible, not possible. Everything is vibrational and informational in nature when it is reduced to its essence. Energy is vibrational and can clean, clear, protect, heal, destroy. It provides us with intuition of the present and organizational in terms of time as past lives and the precognitive of the seer of future events. It connects us with other energetic awareness of forms corporeal and incorporeal, such as angels and other life forms. It resonates with all elements of living matter, such as crystals and plants and animal life, and our space around us, as in Feng Shui, and the senses that track surroundings. Everything living is registering information and is connected. Energy is found in the known and unknown, the manifested and unmanifested, our notions of what are real and not real. Energy does not care what you think. It only reacts and responds and forms and develops into patterns of vibrations that we sense and interpret and experience as the habituated thought and behavior. Again and again, time after time, unless something happens in our rule set to instigate change, shift in the moment. For me, when I work with clients or students, it is about appreciating their references and how they are helpful or not to them, not to me. That is what being energetically clear, neutral to me is about. I have no agenda to push, just clarity for the often felt confusion that is present, which is what our issues are, confusion between mind and heart usually. I am an empath, an energy empath. I feel energy in people, places, things, words, etc. in my body. We all do it in some way to some degree. It defines me. These days, I look to benefit from all my trainings, experiences, and awareness to feel things from within my field and not so much in my body or in an attached manner. I realized that long ago I made a choice to embody this time in this way to explore life within the body form and to explore being. It has taken me many places. We all have our answers inside of us, and where we have a sense of out there, somewhere, sometimes so buried, so wrapped up in a sense of loss, that it is helpful to have another find the link. We share in this wonderful sense and experience we call being and being alive. It is the journey of potential and energy that we call enlightenment that we are all sharing. Our featured meditations from Interlude and Internet Retreat will return in a few more episodes. You can reach Pamela at her website, PamelaAloia.com, and that's PamelaAloia.com, by email, connect@PamelaAloia.com, and at Facebook, Facebook.com Pamela Aloia Author. The Daily Cloak and her other books are available at Amazon, and the links are on the podcast page for this episode 47. I want to be sure to mention that Boyd, our very talented and patient sound engineer, is also the owner of Pure Energy RX. If you are feeling stressed, you might consider using some of the energetic formula supplements and products he sells, everything from energy medicines to essential oils. You will find them reasonably priced, and he offers lots of personal service and information. You can reach Boyd at pureenergyrx@gmail.com and at pureenergyrx on Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to at least sign up to receive his wonderful newsletter. It is always full of interesting information about the latest on the cutting edges of science, medicine, and consciousness. Thank you for joining me here at Journeys to Enlightenment with Janet. A new episode is released every 2 weeks. Any questions or thoughts or guests you'd like to suggest, you can email me directly at janetandbeyondpodcast@outlook.com. For more information about all the elements that make up each episode, they are on my podcast page at my website, www.janetandbeyond.com. While there, you will also find information about my other podcast show, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet, and all about my work with clients. You can sign up to receive my regular weekly blog, Life in the Beyond, Journeys into Enlightenment. If you're looking for other regular opportunities to sit in heart-centered awareness with myself and others, you can join us in my Fuzzy Photons playground groups I offer on Wednesdays. Live interactive space via Zoom video conferencing. You can follow each episode of this podcast series on my YouTube channel, Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Till the next time, notice what feels different right in this moment. It is real, and it can last a lifetime.